Hey, how's it going? It's Tony with DIVI.FYI, and I wanted to go ahead and show you today how to create a button-like effect for text modules. I use this trick every now and then. It's kind of handy sometimes just to convert or expand the functionality of what you want a button to look and feel like. And so let's go ahead and get started. I've just got a blank page here, and I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and add in 3 of our columns here. And for this, we're going to go ahead and just use our text module. And we're going to go ahead and call this one button 1. And let's go ahead and duplicate these and drag them on over so we can have multiple buttons. And let's move that padding a little bit. All right. Let's change this text here to each of the buttons just so we know what we're working on. And then I'm going to go ahead and multi-select. I've got my shift held down here. I'm going to click on these 3 modules so I have them all highlighted. Click on this gear icon here. Now we can actually edit all of these at the same time. So I'm going to change my alignment to centered. While I'm at it, why don't we go into text and let's make this a little bit more button-like. So go ahead and bump this up a little bit, maybe 28 points. That looks good. And it's nice to have this wireframe so then you kind of know what confines you're working in as far as this padding and margins. But one of the biggest tricks to this is we're going to go ahead and jump into our background here. And why don't we go ahead and let's do bright yellow. That doesn't look too pretty just yet, but let's go ahead and do it like that. What I actually want to do is I'm going to pull, see I have this highlighted here, I'm going to pull our padding down just a little bit. I'm going to do the same with this bottom one right here. So then we actually have our padding. Makes it almost look like a button at this point. Let's go back into our edit mode. And on this background, what I want to do is go ahead and create a gradient over it. And I kind of like this whole rainbow feel. I've used this on another site recently, and so I'm going to go ahead and pull that down there. All right. Oop, got into that too soon. Let's go back to background. And let's change the direction of this just a little bit. And then if you wanted to, we can actually just hue this a little. Let's make this kind of blue and no, you know what? I really like that green to yellow that we have going on there. So let's go ahead then and let's curve these a little bit and get more of a button look to them. I'm going to go ahead and go to design and let's go to our border here and let's bump this up to 17. Let's round it up. Let's make it just a solid 20. Now these are really starting to look like buttons. But what I want to do is just add a shadow here. So let's type in shadow. Let's go to box shadow. And that's just a little light there. I think maybe the text could use just a little bit of a shadow too. Second thought, let's change that white. And let's go ahead and strengthen it a little bit and make it very bold, but then we're going to put a little bit, let's try a little bit of a shadow there. That looks good. Now one of the things that we can do is, now that we've got this background here, let's go ahead and, you see it's yellow, but let's make some cool effects. We're going to go ahead and tap on our mouse, and instead of default, let's change to hover. So we don't have options to change the gradient on hover, but we can change this green, this yellow here. Let's make this a different color. Let's make it stand out. How about yellow to purple? There we go. That's good. So on hover, it's more of a pink, but we've got pink. And then on our default, we've got yellow there. And why don't we go ahead and do the same thing with our box shadow here. Let's go ahead and click on here. We've got it by default. It's pretty light, but on our hover, let's go ahead and, wow, we can give it a little bit of color, just like that, so it stands out. So there's a little, it's got this little highlight effect going on. And then lastly, why don't we change the size just a little bit? Let's go to our transform option here. We're going to do the same thing. We've got our hover, and by default it's at 100, so let's bump this up to 105. Oh, we're still in our default. Let's see, we have our default there. Let's go to hover, and now let's bump this up to 105. So there's our default, there's our hover right there. And in fact, what we could do is we could just give a slight rotate. Whoa, let's not go too crazy there. Just a slight rotate, just like that right there on hover, but then it's not. And that is looking good. Let's go ahead and save that. And we'll take a look and see the result here. Now I think the button modules are pretty impressive with the Divi builder, but sometimes it's fun just to create your own. You could add in text below this, so it's not in standard one line, but it's in a second line. Oh, see, as you hover over it, we have this cool highlight effect. That gradient changes, and we've got that yellow. Now we didn't add a link, but of course you could go into your link setting in your module, and you would just add in your link from there. Instead of the typical link section on the button, we would just go right here, and we just put in our link and have that set. If you want to get crazy, you could also add a little bit of an animation, have it fade in, and we could have these all do something different. And I did do a bulk selection here, but we could change the gradient on each of these colors and spice it up a little bit. But let's go ahead and take a look really quick, make sure that everything looks good. There we have a full section button on our tablet, and the same thing with our mobile view, which looks pretty cool. So that is it. That is this quick tutorial. Hopefully it was useful on creating your own button modules with the text module and not using the actual button feature in Divi. There can be a handful of different options that we can use, and we'll dive into that another time. All right. Thank you.